Hi, Detectives Den members. I'm Paul Holes. I'm here on the set of my new show, The DNA of Murder with Paul Holes, airing Saturdays, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock Central. I'm here to answer your questions, exclusive to Detectives Den members. So here we go. Jeff on Twitter asks, did I consider putting off retirement until the Golden State Killer was caught? I actually did consider that because I wanted to make sure to solve the Golden State Killer case before I retired. However, just based on my own life circumstances, I had to retire when I did. But I was fortunate enough that my small team that was doing the genealogy work on the Golden State Killer kept me involved. And I was there at the Sacramento Sheriff's Office at the time that Joseph DeAngelo was arrested. Jen on Twitter asks, were you planning to start a whole new career in the true crime realm when you were getting ready to retire from police work, or did it just happen? You seem extremely busy for a retired guy, LOL. Yes, Jen, I'm very busy. However, I was not planning on doing this. This just kind of happened. I got caught up in such a whirlwind after DeAngelo was caught, and then pretty soon I found myself involved in the media realm. However, one of the things I like is with my new show, The DNA of Murder with Paul Holes, I am actually doing the same thing that I used to do when I was active. Caprice on Twitter comments, I would love to see you and Kelly Sigler work together. Can we make this happen? Please, #DreamTeam. I have actually met Kelly. I would love to work with her. We will see what the future holds. Casey on Twitter asks, what has been the most frustrating case you have attempted to solve? I would say the most frustrating, of course, has to be the Golden State Killer, because I thought I had solved it multiple times only to have DNA tell me I was wrong. But one thing to be aware of is I've got many cases that I'm passionate about that I have failed to solve, and those cases frustrate and haunt me to this day. Angel on Twitter asks, aloha, do you have a TV show now? I do, Angel. It's called The DNA of Murder with Paul Holes. It's airing on Oxygen, Saturdays, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock Central. Detectives Den member Roy B. asks, Paul, what was your first case? That's a complicated question. My very first cold case was the East Area Rapist, who later became known as the Golden State Killer. However, the first homicide case that I ever got involved with was the shooting death of a man out in a small town called North Richmond, out in the Bay Area, California. He ended up being an individual that was cooking fake dope and selling it on the street. The street doesn't like that, and he ended up getting himself killed. Detectives Den member Susan asks, do you have any thoughts about why Northern California's Bay Area had so many serial killers and serial rapists in the 1970s? She also indicates that she's a Bay Area native, third generation, and was a teenage female during the late 1970s. It was a super creepy time. I'm sure the local news during that era contributed to her obsession with true crime. Susan, that has been a big puzzle. I can tell you, I dug into all these cases within the Contra Costa County area that were occurring in the 1970s, and there was a spike of serial predator crime, both killers as well as rapists. In fact, that extends outside my jurisdiction, but into neighboring jurisdictions in the 1970s. I have no idea why that happened during that time. At this point in time, I have no correlation with anything as to why there was such an uptick in serial predators back in the 1970s in the Bay Area. Detectives Den member John asks, would you ever come on Martinis and Murder and talk about your new show, The DNA of Murder with Paul Holes? I would absolutely love to be on Martinis and Murder and discuss my new show. I think that would be a great time, and we would be able to enjoy a few drinks together while we discuss that. Allie on Twitter asks, who is your hero? Allie, I went to the academy with an individual by the name of Paul Starzik. And unfortunately, Paul lost his life in the line of duty. He ended up responding to a call, and even though he was running into a dangerous situation, he continued to go in to try to maintain public safety, and he lost his life. He was shot and killed. He left behind a wife and beautiful children. But I think Paul's courage is inspirational to anybody who really understood the peril that even though it existed, he continued to charge forward. He basically exemplified what many law enforcement officers face day in and day out. They put their lives at risk for others. The Gila Minotti on Twitter asked, Paul Holes, why are you such a sweet baby angel? I don't even know what that means. So I'm not sure how to answer that. I'm just who I am. Amanda on Twitter asks, I'd love to know what it's like to be a retired investigator. Do people go completely stir crazy after having a career like that and then stopping the work? You know, I know for me, especially in the last 10 years of my career, when I was 24/7, 365 going after the Golden State Killer, that once D'Angelo was taken into custody, I felt a void. It was like, I need to continue working this case, but then there was no reason to. So yes, I think many investigators, having lived this life, once they retire, there is sort of this sense of loss. There's a loss of purpose, and it is a void. And fortunately, I've been given the opportunity to be able to fill that void. Valerie on Twitter asks, I would like to know if JJD, meaning Joseph James D'Angelo, really had a roast in the oven when he was arrested. Valerie, yes, he did. So Jay on Twitter asks, is there any insight you can offer or alternative methods to submit DNA to familial databases to assist law enforcement in potentially catching the break they need? There are ways to have a laboratory produce a genealogy-compatible DNA profile, this SNP type profile that you can get directly from them, and then upload that profile up into the GEDmatch database. So you can bypass the privacy concerns about a private company accessing your data. However, in order for your personal DNA data to be useful to law enforcement has to be able to search against it. So if you take the steps to get it up into GEDmatch, make sure you opt in, allowing law enforcement to search your DNA profile. Lisa on Twitter asks, what unsolved crime, past or present, would you like to have worked on? You know, Lisa, I think for me, as I look at it, I have done work on Zodiac. I've kind of dabbled from afar looking at Jack the Ripper, and those are two notable cases. But the one that really fascinates me is the Black Dahlia. And I would love to get to the bottom of that case. This poor woman died a horrific death, and I believe that there's the potential for clues in that case that could lead to its solution. Thank you to Detectives Den members for submitting your questions, and make sure to keep an eye on your inbox for more incredible exclusives only from Oxygen.
Okay,